as a parent, we're always looking for that wow moment for our kids to look and see something. There are so many of those moments and opportunities for families connecting that they're in the presence of that superhero.
Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Selinsky, aka the Running Wine Mom. Today, we're talking about big ideas, big events, and big hometown pride. My guest, Jim Britt, built a career from Pittsburgh Penguin Foundation to Vice President of Fan Development and Growth for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and now leads SportsPITTSBURGH, the engine behind bringing the 2026 NFL Draft to town. We'll dig into moments that this became his calling, what sports tourism really means, and what it feels like to bring something this massive back home. We'll also get an inside look at why the draft belongs in Pittsburgh, how a riverfront campus from Point State Park to the North Shore will feel to fans and families, and how this event will ripple across 10 counties. Stay with us for a conversation about grit, logistics, and the kind of hometown moment that changes a city. So without further ado, let's welcome Jim.
Thank you. Thrilled to be here to chat with you today.
Yes, I am so good. So, Jim, can you tell our listeners who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So I am the Vice President of Sports Events at Visit Pittsburgh. I lead the Sports Pittsburgh team, a division of Visit Pittsburgh, tasked with trying to recruit sports events into Pittsburgh and Allegheny County as a way to drive visitors to come into our county and encourage economic development. So the more folks that we bring into town, the more folks are staying in hotels and restaurants and bars and buying tickets to games and parking in our garages and all of those things that drive our revenues for our neighbors and our restaurants. So yeah, I've been here with Visit Pittsburgh for a year and a half now. Certainly a large part of that is planning the NFL draft that we'll chat about today, but we're very heavily involved with NCAA championships, bringing those to Pittsburgh with our partner institutions here. We do a lot of youth basketball, volleyball, and really large marquee events in those sports in our convention center and others. So it's a lot of fun and a lot of activity.
Yes, that's amazing. And in that short time, what a big event to be able to say that you are helping with. And as someone like myself who has been involved in sports their whole life, you really built such an incredible career around it. What was kind of the moment that you realized that this is the direction that you wanted to go in?
Well, that's a great question. And, a lot of people still ask me sort of what's my end game? What do I want to be when I grow up? And I'm still figuring that out on the fly, but I came to Visit Pittsburgh after about 20 years with the Pittsburgh Penguins organization in probably 20 different roles in those 20 years. Started off in ticket sales, and really it was like yourself. I spent my whole life in sports, growing up as an athlete in different sport every season: soccer, baseball, hockey, and running, and just knew I wanted to work in sports and continue that. Certainly not going to ever turn that into a playing profession. And so front offices and the administration were my path. I went to college in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, where the Penguins minor league hockey team is. Turned into an entry-level ticket sales job, and it just sort of snowballed for me from there. Spent about 10 or 12 years in hockey operations, both in Wilkes-Barre and then ultimately here in Pittsburgh with the NHL club. And that was sort of probably the ignition moment for me. I was heavily involved in the team logistics and operations, the team movements, schedule, and immigration, and all of those details. And while I had known that sports was fun and ticket sales, and I was a video coach and a few different pieces, that operations role really clicked for me. It was a lot of fun. It was something I was really good at, and those sort of details and the high pace energy really drove me, and I had a lot of fun. So it's just been a few roles, sort of taking opportunities as they come since then.
Wow.
And then the role I'm in now is a really unique combination of all the roles I've had with the Penguins. So
Wow.
I don't know that there's ever been sort of that aha light bulb moment for me. It's just been capturing each opportunity as they've come along, and each one has led to something more fun somewhere down the road. So I'm going to try to continue to ride that as long as I can.
Yeah, when I was telling my family I was interviewing you, and my brother's like, you need to ask him, how did he get where he got? Because that just seems like the best career. And I totally agree. It seems just such a great way to keep sports still involved in your life. So to kind of change the pace just a little bit, obviously the NFL draft is going to bring a huge amount of tourism. But when people hear the word sports tourism, it sounds kind of big and corporate. What do you actually say if you're sitting, with a glass of wine or beer with someone about what that actually means.
Yeah, I feel that too. As someone who
Hmm.
again has worked and lived in sports for my whole life, when this role is eventually reached me and became an opportunity, it was described to me as sports tourism and economic development, and I kind of went like, what does that mean?
Hmm.
But really, at its nature, as I'm talking to folks, it's how are we bringing events like the NFL draft to Pittsburgh? That is our job.
Hmm.
Out selling Pittsburgh. That's our product.
Right.
We are selling Pittsburgh to have folks host their event here that will drive visitors. So there's an important difference where we are not the Penguins, Pirates, or Steelers who have a regular season schedule and that is set and they're going to go about their business. We are really interested in those new events to Pittsburgh. How do we
Hmm.
add on top of that really incredible sports culture that we have in Pittsburgh? How do we layer on top of that with the draft or, an all-star game or these tournaments and special one-off really exciting stadium and arena fillers?
Cool. And, some people, they might think that the draft, it belongs in these big glamorous cities like Vegas or Nashville. Why does the NFL draft need to be in Pittsburgh right now?
I think there's a place for all of it. That is what sports is all about. Every team, every market has its own culture, has its own city, its own traditions, and it's incredible that the NFL recognizes that and is really leaning into and embracing each of those cultures and traditions. So
Hmm.
there's a place for Vegas and Nashville and Chicago to have the NFL draft and to do it in their style. But boy, is there a place for Pittsburgh to do it too. And the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base is as passionate and as deep as any in the league and any in sports. And Pittsburgh is just people are going to see what a beautiful city this is, how walkable the downtown is,
Hmm.
and really what an important part of our city and our culture and our everyday lives that football plays in Western Pennsylvania. It's so prominent, and people are going to get to see that. It's really exciting to put that on showcase.
Yeah, I just loved how the river was with the stadium. I mean, Philly has Philadelphia area, and they have a really unique
Very
stadium
quietly,
setup.
I'm originally from Philadelphia, so I
Yeah, I won't tell anyone.
I have to
I
whisper
was
that
gonna
around here.
I was gonna wear my Eagles hat today, and then I'm like, you know what? I'll leave that out for now. Yeah, but I thought, when you go to other stadiums, I always compare them to Philly, and I really think that Pittsburgh was comparable in the way that they have it set up. So I just thought that, and then for the draft, I think it's going to be really such a cool thing to experience.
It is. There
So,
there
yeah.
there aren't a lot of cities that have the downtown urban stadiums and
Hmm.
and walkability to be able to stay in a hotel right in downtown Pittsburgh and walk to Point State Park to enjoy the fan experience for the draft, walk across to the stadiums. That's pretty rare and unique, but it's so very Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
Cross the river to get there, take the Gateway Clipper maybe. It's going to be a really great showcase for what Pittsburgh is and why the downtown is so great.
Yeah. And you said that Pittsburgh is the city of grit. How are you turning that into something people will actually feel when they get there?
A lot of the draft for Pittsburgh, for the Steelers, for Visit Pittsburgh, so much of the value of this event for us is getting to share the narrative of what our city is. And
Hmm.
even when we talk about grit, right? Grit carries a lot of different meanings. Sometimes that feels like it comes with a rust or a dirt or a little bit grimy to be gritty. But grit is also it's about resilience and growth and powering through adversity. And that's the story of Pittsburgh, right? And people are going to come and they're going to hear the stories. They're going to see what's happening in Pittsburgh, both on stage and in the city as they're here as visitors, but also 55 million people watching on TV throughout the weekend are going to hear about the innovation that's happening here in our colleges and universities at Pitt and Carnegie Mellon, and the robotics and AI sector have just really embraced our city and vice versa. And there's an explosion of technology that's advancing here. And they're going to see the way that Pittsburgh has evolved over the last 30 or 40 years, that this is not a city of steel mills anymore. That industry is still here, but it's not the only industry here. And that I think is grit, right? It's
Yeah.
that resistance to failure and just insisting on improving and changing and evolving That's what Pittsburgh is right now. So it's going to be exciting to share that with everyone.
So walk us through it. When a fan steps onto the draft campus from Point State Park to the North Shore, what are they walking into?
Boy, it's so big and so exciting, and there's so much. But what they're really walking into is it's a carnival and a celebration of football. They're at the core, right? It's the NFL draft. 32 teams have to draft their players, and then we'll have 7 rounds of selections, and that will go on from the stage. And, some team's going to pick their next franchise quarterback, and the next Hall of Famer to come out of a school will be selected. But all around that are games for kids, football activations, chances for fans to come and meet their favorite players and get autographs from local legends and NFL legends. Come see the Lombardi Trophy and the Super Bowl rings. Acrisure Stadium is going to be open and available. With the draft being a free event, for a lot of families, kids, folks who might be coming from far away, this may be their only chance to get to Acrisure Stadium, and they'll get to walk down on the field, and you can try to kick a field goal on Acrisure Stadium's field. So there's a beer hall to hang out and watch the draft on TV with your friends. There's merch tents, there's sponsor activations. It is a party, it's a festival and a carnival, and it's a celebration of football, a celebration of Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania, and a celebration of how those two things are so closely intertwined.
Awesome. So a lot of my listeners are parents. I always say you don't have to be a parent to listen, but many of them are. And football is such a sport that brings families together. Memories with your dad or even your mom going to games. What feeling do you want kids to feel when they walk into this site for the first time?
I think I have a parent myself. I have a 8-year-old and a 10-year-old who will be coming down to experience this too. And I think it's a combination of emotions. There's on that party, the carnival, the festival side, there's the wow factor, right? As a parent, we're always looking for that wow moment for our kids to look and see something and just be so excited for that really unique and rare experience. There are so many of those moments and opportunities for families to see and experience. I think there's a really inspirational moment throughout this entire event too. Again, there's a few hundred players who are going to see their dream realized, their lifelong dream, who they were an 8-year-old at some point, just, thinking about how much they like playing football with their friends, and now they're going to walk across that stage and realize that they've made it to the NFL, and that moment is so special. So I think from start to finish, Thursday through Saturday, it is one of those moments after another. From geez, I can't believe I got to meet Steely McBean, the Steelers mascot. My daughter that will be the highlight of her week, right? Every mascot is the best mascot. But there are other kids who are going to get to walk on the field where the Steelers play, and to have that moment, and to make that feel real for kids is really great and exciting too. I love seeing that firsthand, where a kid realizes that, for them, football might just be something that happens on TV, that they get to see these players who are like superheroes. And then to see them come face to face with an athlete or the Steelers field, to have those moments of them connecting that they're in the presence of that superhero it's so fun. It's so fulfilling. So I think it's going to be an unbelievable event for families. There's so much to do, so much fun. It will not be possible for a child to be bored on this campus.
Good to hear. For sure. So let's go into the planning. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people. How do you even begin to think of planning on that big of a scale?
It on that scale is really something too. We walked the site just earlier this afternoon, and it was really almost surprising, even after years of planning and prep and hundreds of drawings and renderings and construction sketches and things, to see it in real life, to realize how big this is. But the planning for this has really been just, I think, exceptional collaboration across our region. Something that Pittsburgh does really well. We are a city that punches above our weight class in a lot of areas, and that is largely because of the collaboration and partnership across the city. So when this idea came about with the Steelers and the Rooney family, and they came to visit Pittsburgh and said, we want to bid on this. And very soon then, the city administration, the county, the governor's office, the corporate community stepped up to said, what can we do? Our foundation community has stepped up to say, we'll take that piece if you'll take this piece. And to have the whole community around the table for the planning has really lightened the burden for everybody involved then. And then certainly to have the NFL driving, they are the best in the world at this.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world in the sports watches the Super Bowl and they watch the NFL draft, and they have an army of just superiorly talented people who come in, lay the roadmap for us, and we do all that we can then to make sure that we can clear the road and make sure they have all the local resources to bring their vision to life. So they've been tremendous to work with, and I think we have all learned so much locally from how they operate. But this event very much will be the story of how Western Pennsylvania has come together to deliver the event.
And you've planned major events before, but what makes the NFL draft uniquely challenging compared to things like championships or all-star games?
I think there are two pieces. One, certainly the scale. This will be the largest event that has ever happened in Western Pennsylvania, potentially the state.
Hmm.
There are a whole bunch of events this year that
Yeah,
are going to compete for that title, I think.
yeah.
But, the size and the scale certainly make it challenging. The other piece that sometimes is taken for granted with the draft, if the Steelers hosted an AFC championship game tomorrow, that game
Hmm.
would be played at, and they have a plan and security and bathrooms and parking lots and all of those things, right? It's another game that happens in that venue. The NFL draft doesn't have a venue. So
Yeah.
the planning, everything that has to go into this is to first design the housing for the event. Where will this happen? What is the campus? Where is the site? And then, acquiring each of those pieces, plotting in all of the activations and games, and certainly the utilities and those restrooms and concessions and all of those pieces. That has to be built for the draft. And so that
Right.
is, I think, the most unique challenge to this is that you're not just considering what is the fan experience, what is the fan path of travel when they arrive, but
Hmm.
it's fully then having to build and create each of those moments too.
Yeah. My husband is actually the sniper on the Lower Bucks team, like county team. And so when with the World Cup coming, they're coming out to, but like normally they don't do anything with Philly, but and so we were talking about that kind of last night. He's like, I wonder, like they probably have to go out for all the security and it's just so many things that go into it that I think people don't realize. And so on draft day, are you actually going to be watching the picks, or are you going to be running around putting out the flyers? Like, what does that day look like for you?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Hmm.
I have a team of five here within my Sports Pittsburgh team, and Visit Pittsburgh is a team of about 40. And I've had that conversation with my team this week too, because I have been fortunate to be through some really incredible moments, Stanley Cup
Hmm.
finals and all-star games, and some just really marquee and iconic memories for me too. And in each of those, it's really easy to get lost in the putting out the fires and get lost
Hmm.
in the weeds and making sure everyone else is having a great time. And I have tried to emphasize to my team that they take a moment this week and just stop and take it in, and wherever that is, take an hour and walk the full campus, or
Hmm.
make sure you enjoy it too, because it has been so much work for everyone involved, long hours and stressful times and so much work. So I do plan to make sure I see some of the picks, some running around at last minute and helping folks. And we wouldn't be in these roles if we didn't enjoy that side of
Hmm.
the business too. That's why we're here. I'm sure though I will also find time to go enjoy some of those games and watch my daughter and my son try to kick the field goal and run the 40-yard dash, but catch some of those draft picks and really take in the whole moment too.
Fun. I'm sure it'll be a great day, long weekend. And so with all this, there's a massive economic impact here. How does this actually show up for local businesses, restaurants, and families across, not just in the Pittsburgh proper city?
Yeah, and really that's what our role is, right? As Visit Pittsburgh, we're here to
Hmm.
get folks to come into Allegheny County and spend their money. So that there is a massive economic impact. We're anticipating it's somewhere around 50,000, north of 50,000 hotel rooms that will be consumed
Wow.
here in Allegheny County just over the 3 days of the event. That'll translate to it's north of $150 million in economic impact. Visitor spend in Green Bay, they saw 600,000 fans attend.
Wow.
and based on our location, so central to, we have 11
Mhm.
NFL teams within a half day's drive of Pittsburgh. And
Wow.
so we are expecting that, attendance will surpass that 600,000 number from
Yeah.
Green Bay. There's that really direct and immediate economic impact on the days of the event. All of those folks coming in and filling up the restaurants and bars and shops and having an immediate tangible impact on all of those folks. And then there is this, it's not secondary, but there's an outside impact of what has happened in our city to get ready for the draft.
Mhm.
Governor Shapiro last year, they were just here today, but a year ago announced a $600 million investment in Pittsburgh to lead a revitalization of our downtown. And so
So cool.
some of those funds have led to an investment in Market Square. There's a new public space called Arts Landing that the ribbon cutting was today in preparation for the
Nice.
draft. So Point State Park has undergone renovations and rehab. And so those are the areas that it's so important for us to continue to talk about it to our neighbors and to Pittsburghers who live here every day, because, come May 1st, the draft will be gone. And
Mhm.
the economic impact will be felt over those few days, certainly, and those funds will still be here. But those parks, spaces, the cleanup work that was done, the rehab and revitalization of downtown and our highways and all of the work that's been done to get ready for all those people to come, that work is going to be here forever. Those public
Yeah.
spaces are going to be here for another 50 or 100 years for people to enjoy downtown and have these new vibrant and revitalized areas within our city. So it's a really great impact that overlook too. But
Mhm.
so much of that was done not for the draft, but the draft gave us a really good deadline to say, let's have it done before those folks arrive. And now they're going to have that much better of an experience while they're here.
Oh, awesome. And I think I read you guys made it a 10 county opportunity, right? Did you guys to expand it like to all the counties
Yes,
surrounding?
there's
Why was that
a great,
important?
great there's a great partnership across Western PA, and it was important, I think. Like I talked about the collaboration and cooperation across the region. Uh, Pittsburgh is, it's so much bigger than city limits. And
Mhm.
this draft is a celebration of Western Pennsylvania. You're going to hear a lot about the 25 or so Football Hall of Famers who have come out of Western PA.
Wow.
That's not just in Allegheny County. It's stretching to towns in all through Western Pennsylvania. And the story of Friday Night Lights and Pop Warner football starting in Western PA. The Marinos and Montanas and Aaron Donalds and Johnny Unitas, all these guys that came from Western PA. It's important that everybody in Western PA gets a chance to celebrate and feel a
Yeah.
part of that. And so that will be core to the celebration, and making sure that then we were collaborating with each of those counties to have transportation opportunities and park and ride shuttles and make it easy for folks to get here and enjoy the celebration.
Cool. All right, let's go into a quick pick round. So if the 2026 NFL draft were a bottle of wine, what would it be?
Boy, not your wine drinker, but what else?
Or maybe a beer.
Yeah, I'll say, well, if it was a beer, it'd be an Iron City. I think that's the natural
Yeah.
selection here. It's probably it's like a really good cab or a red blend, and
Like
that
that.
is because there's there's something for everyone. It's a really
Yeah.
versatile event. It's gonna elevate your meal. You're gonna have a great time, but you can have it just kind of casually with friends. You can have a few extra ones if you need at the end of the night, but it does a little bit of everything.
Awesome. And if someone's never been to Pittsburgh, what's one thing they absolutely need to experience?
Oh, that's a great question. There's so many options. They could go ride the incline, they could hit Primanti's. We have incredible museums. See the Warhol Museum. Go take a walk across the bridges. Ride the Gateway Clipper. I don't know if there's a one answer, so I'll say that they need to walk around downtown and see it and feel it. I think they'll immediately go, "Geez, I had no idea it's so beautiful here."
Yeah. You're taking Roger Goodell out for a real Pittsburgh meal. Where are we going?
We're probably going somewhere like Monterey Bay Fish Grotto, which is up on Mount Washington, and it has
Yeah.
the best view of downtown Pittsburgh that you're going to find. Incredible seafood meal. That would be a great option. Either that, or maybe we're going to hit Primanti's at the end of the night. I'll go
Yeah.
have a few Iron Cities somewhere and stop at Primanti's on the way home.
Who's your chief hype officer for Pittsburgh?
Oh, we have so many. I think that's what I love about Pittsburgh. Everyone you've ever met from Pittsburgh is excited to tell you about Pittsburgh and how much they love Pittsburgh. Right now, we're really lucky to have incredible elected officials. Governor Shapiro, County Executive Innamorato, Mayor Corey O'Connor, who every day are out doing all they can to build our hype, spread the word, tell everybody, get to Pittsburgh, you got to see it. And so, we are all really proud. So I don't think we need too many. We don't have to recruit many hype officers, but those three are really doing an incredible job for us.
Yeah. And obviously, I have to ask a draft style question. Who's your number one overall pick?
For real football players, or
Yeah, real
I think
football. Real football.
Fernando's gonna go number one, right? He seems like the guy. So it looks like Vegas is gonna have their guy. I've heard from a few friends from Indiana who are excited to come in and see hopefully Fernando go number one overall.
Yeah. All right. And I will leave the audience with one more question that you can answer. When it's all over, what do you hope people say about Pittsburgh?
I hope they talk about what an incredible place this is. There's so much to learn about Pittsburgh, and people are going to be so excited to see a different side of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh in April is beautiful.
Mhm.
So the city that is really popping with color, and the scenery is going to be unbelievable. I think a lot of people around the country, around the world are going to look and say, geez, I had no idea about Pittsburgh. So
Yeah.
hopefully then soon after they're saying that's our next weekend getaway.
I love that. All right. Well, I think that's a perfect place to end it. So that's going to bring us to the end of another episode of The Running Wine Mom. This was an incredible conversation, from the nuts and bolts of staging a citywide draft to the moments of pride it creates for kids and for local businesses. So thank you so much for coming on and talking all about that. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. If you want more on planning legacy or how to get involved, you can visit Sports Pittsburgh's website and follow their updates. As always, thank you for joining us today on The Running Wine Mom. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a mom who needs to hear it. You can follow me on Instagram at the Running Wine Mom _. And Jim, where can the listeners find you?
SportsPITTSBURGH.com.
Perfect. And I will link all of that. So thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, you are strong, you are capable, and you are all amazing. Until next time, keep running, keep sipping. Make sure to watch the draft and keep embracing the joy of parenthood. Cheers, and I'll be back next Tuesday. All right, thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much.